What it is, my Tano Piece Regress here, and today we are talking about the Unvaulted Relics this go around. The Unvaulted Relics these go around has Mogurls, Nova Prime, and Mag Prime. Now, if you played Warframe for any length of time, you're probably already familiar with Nova. She is, in my opinion, a must-have to any Warframe player's arsenal. She is just an absolutely fantastic Warframe. There's no reason to not have her. Now, while Nova can be squishy in higher level missions where better movement mechanics are required, she more than makes up for it with her abilities. With that said, any team out there, any squad out there would be thrilled to have a Nova on their squad for any activity. Alright, that's how potent of a Warframe she truly is. So switching gears, we're going to talk about Mag Prime. Mag Prime, well, you know, Mag Prime is one of those frames that you probably either like her or you hate her. You probably think she either A, sucks, or B, she's okay. Unfortunately, for Mag, you know, there just doesn't really seem to be any kind of middle ground. Now, Mag has always seemed to be mired in controversy. Whether you look at the big nerf that just, you know, made her really mediocre, whether it was the change to her greedy pull, whether it was the appearance of her prime, she has always seemed to be a magnet for controversy. Yeah, I know, I just said that. Needless to say, she's always seemed to be kind of the center of controversy. Well, before Limbo came along. And now Limbo seems to take up a lot of that hate. But there's actually is, because of all these controversies in the past, there is still some Mag hate out there. But I'm here. Let Peace tell you the deal with Mag. Mag is actually a great frame. She's a great frame. All right, she just is. Ultimately, I actually call her the corpus killing beast, because that's what she is. It's important to keep in mind on Mag that a couple of her abilities have inherent magnetic damage. If you know anything about magnetic damage, you should know it absolutely obliterates shields, which Corpus, no likey. She's good with Grineer, and she's, you know, well, she's okay with Infested. But yeah, Corpus is she really truly shines. But overall, yeah, Mag, she can be squishy as well, just like very similar to Nova, but in my opinion, she more than makes up for it. And again, someone properly using a Mag, any squad would be happy to have one. Well, most squads would. So yeah, Mag, definitely worth adding to your inventory, in my opinion. Now let's talk about the weapons that come with Mag and Nova this go around. One of the weapons is the Soma Prime. Now the Soma Prime, everybody and their dog uses it, and for good reason. The Soma Prime is actually still a very solid, serviceable primary weapon as it exists right now. So it is definitely well worth picking up. If you haven't, now's your chance. Well worth picking up this go around. Now the Boar Prime, on the other hand, seems to be kind of an underrated shotgun. Now, while it is no Tigris Prime, the Boar Prime is still very good shotgun. Then that brings us to the Dagger Prime. And, well, yeah, the Dagger Prime. It needs some love from DE, to say the least. It is pretty much nothing more than a butter knife. So the Dagger Prime is pretty much just XP butter for your MR toast. I know, I just said that. I did. But yeah, so there it is. Now, you may have noticed I actually skipped past the Vasto and the Akvasto. Or I should say the new Akvasto. And there's a good reason for this, because surprisingly, the Vasto, which should have unbolted, is absent from the Prime Access Packs for Mag and Nova. Instead, now the Vasto and Akvasto are both located on their own relic, the Axii A5. Now, when I initially saw this, I thought, I bet this is going to be a Barrow relic. And sure enough, this weekend, Barrow had the Axii A5. Now, I don't know DE's intentions going forward with the Vasto and the Akvasto. However, I have a sneaking suspicion the Axii A5 is probably going to stick around a little bit longer after the unbolting closes to allow players to pick up the new Aqua, as well as the Axie A5 is going to reappear occasionally in Barrow's inventory. Now, this is probably going to drive the price of the Aqua down, and the Vasto even further, similar to the Aklex and the Lex relic, which, if you recall, the Axie A2 is what the Aklex and the Lex are on, that Barrow occasionally brings, and that has absolutely just murdered the value, and which is really kind of sad because the Aklex is absolutely a phenomenal secondary. But again, I don't think DE intentionally did that. But now, moving on, let's quickly talk about, and this is something I'm putting this out there just so that people aren't, because I see a lot of confusion in trade chat in regards to what the Aqua Prime set is. So I really kind of want to put this all into perspective to kind of clear everything up for players out there that may not be aware of it. They may be misinformed. Not sure. But the Aqua Prime is nearly identical in its requirements as the Aklex Prime. All right, meaning that the Aqua Prime, a full set of the Aqua Prime consists of two parts, two and only two parts. That is the Aqua Link and the Aqua Blueprint. That is it. That is the set. Nothing more. Again, identical to the Aklex Prime set, which again consists of the Aklex Link and the Aklex Blueprint. Again, that's the set. In the discussion, I see people in trade chat saying, want to buy a full set of Aqua Prime. My friend, the full set of Aqua Prime is two parts, the Link, the Blueprint, and nothing more. If you want to be able to build the Aqua Prime and you want to list it correctly in trade chat, then please get your terminology correct. What that is the following. Want to buy WTB, one Aqua Prime set, and two, meaning times two, Vasto Prime sets. So you need three different sets. You need two of the Vasto Prime sets, and you need one of the Aqua Prime sets. So you need three different sets to build the Aqua Prime. Again, identical to the Aklex Prime. No different. So that's the way that works. That's the system. So, again, that's how you would correctly list it in trade chat. That is what the Aqua or the Aklex set is. It is the Link and the Blueprint and nothing more. Mic drop, walk up stage, end of discussion. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there to kind of clear it up because I know some people seem to be rather confused by that. Okay, so let's take a look at the Codex, which I've used many times in my other vids. And as I said in my other content, if you use the Codex, it can be your best friend in the game of Warframe. So if you want to know which specific relics, which specific locations, so on and so forth, you can do so by looking them up in the Codex. Now, when I initially saw that this Unbolting was again in the relic like the last Unbolting, I immediately broke out into terrors. And the reason for this was because the last Unbolting, and I apologize for my language, but I'm going to have to call it what it is, so you may want to earmuff it. Go ahead, earmuff it. The last Unbolting was an absolute shit show. It was horrendous. And thankfully, we have another option on this Unbolting. Thank goodness. And the reason I even say this is because the last Unbolting, the one relic I couldn't get to drop was the Axie S3. And as a player, any player out there, if we have everything in the game, we actually rack up sets during these Unboltings to sell in the future at a later date to make our plat. And so we require these these relics to drop so that we can build up the number of sets that we want. Since I couldn't get the Axie S3 drop, I am literally limited in some cases by just the bronze drops. Just the bronze, also the silver and gold, but even just the bare bones, basic, easy bronze drops, I'm limited by them because I could not get the Axie S3 to drop. Now, let me put it into perspective because I can already hear some people. I was running, give or take, about an hour solo per run on Mott, and I probably ran that easily 60 to 70 times, so that's, in case you were wondering, 60 to 70 hours. Would you care to take a guess how many Axie S3s I had drop? Go ahead, I'll wait. Take a guess. You done? One Axie S3 in 60 to 70 hours. That is downright disrespectful to a player's time. That is horrendous. I even offered to buy Axie S3s in trade chat, okay, for 3 days straight, 30 to 40 plat each. You know how many people I had take me up on that? Not a single one. Literally not one person sold me a single Axie S3 relic for 30 to 40 plat. Not one. So this should show you that nobody was getting the Axie S3 to drop. Now I can hear other vets and experienced players out there saying, well, it sucked before. Look, I know it sucked before. All right? But just because something sucked before doesn't mean it should suck now. All right? We should strive to improve. We should strive to do better. All right? Two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs have never made a right. Two wrongs will never make a right. All right? So again, just to reiterate, just because something sucked before doesn't mean it should suck now. All right? And definitely the last unbolting with Rhino Prime, Nyx Prime, the Ankros Prime, the Haiku Prime, and the Bolter Prime, that was an absolute shit show. It was redonkulous how bad it was. Again, one Axie S3 and Mott had the highest drop rate last unbolting. It had the highest drop rate. 60 to 70 hours, one Axie S3. That is disgraceful. All right? And the reason I even bring this up, the reason I even talking about this right now is because this is why when I saw that these relics were in the void, I started to panic. Thankfully, many people out there were clamoring for these relics to be on the Seediest Bounties. And if you're on console like myself, DE has obliged us. Now, we don't have 5 tuna yet. I know it's 4 tuna. I'm being kind of a smartass. But we don't have 5 tuna yet. So for us, we have the option of the Void or the Seediest Bounties. All right. Now, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say, guys. Seediest Bounties suck. I get it. I'm right there with you. All right. You have to go to Kanzu. You have to get the bounty. Then you have to go in the door. Then you have to wait for the load screen. Then you get out on the plains. And you have to run 5 stages. Then you have to come back to the door. You have to wait for the load screen. Then you have to go back to Kanzu. Yeah. It is an exercise in frustration, to say the least. It is monotonous. Okay, I get it. I hate doing it as well. But the advantage to the Seediest Bounties is they let you specifically target one relic, as opposed to the Void, where as you're running the mission, you have a huge, over-polluted pool of relics that you can potentially get. All right? The Seediest Bounties allow you to choose, focused on just one relic. Yeah, you can get crap. You can get a piddly amount of worthless Indo that isn't going to do you any good if you're an experienced player. A piddly amount of Kuba that isn't even going to get you probably one roll on a ribbon that has 10 or more rolls. So who cares? Yeah, you may get so on and so forth. You have the chance to get crap, the crap for the Seediest Bounties, granted, but when I was running these missions, seeing what I was getting better drops on, I was actually getting 2 Neo N9 drops per run. So that's important to keep in mind there. Okay, so let's look at the relics really quickly that you need to focus on this go around. And the first one we're going to talk about, Lith M2. You can get these from the Syndicate Relic packs. You can get these from the Void locations, as well as what we were talking about, the Seediest Bounties. All right. The next one is going to be the Miso B3. The Miso B3 again, Syndicate Relic packs, Void locations, as well as Seediest Bounties. If you wanted to focus on, what should I focus on, piece? The Boar Prime stock is a good bet. Alright, these can range anywhere, depending on how long you hold on to them, the Boar Prime stocks can range anywhere from 60 to 120 plat. Again, depending on how long you hold on to them, so the Boar Prime stocks, once you get a few sets of boars set up, you can then start going for extra Miso B3 relics and have extra Boar Prime stocks laying around to sell at a later date. My personal opinion. The next one is the Neo N9, which is the big ticket relic. The one that if I were you, I would focus on hardcore. But the Neo N9 relic you can get from Syndicate Relic packs, Void locations, as well as Seediest Bounties. And the reason why I say you want to have a bunch of these Neo N9s is because this little bad boy right here, the Nova Prime chassis. Why, may you ask? Because the Nova Prime chassis was literally selling for like 200 plus plat by itself. No other Prime of the Nova set, just the chassis. Just the chassis. Okay? In fact, probably 6 months ago, I had listed my very last Nova Prime set and I was absolutely inundated from messages from people that just wanted to buy the chassis and nothing else. And before I knew it, a bidding war broke out in the messages, and I ended up selling just the Nova Prime chassis for like 225 plat. Yeah. So once you get a few extra sets of complete sets of Nova laying around, focus on getting extra N9s and just have a bunch of Nova Prime chassis laying about the place. Yeah, well worth to pick up. And last but not least, the Axios 4, which again you can get from the Syndicate Relic Packs, Void locations, and the Seediest Bounties. I would personally, just like the Warframe, focus on from the Axios 4 the Soma Prime stock. Again, depending on how long you hold on to these can go from anywhere from 60 to 120 plat in the future. So Soma Prime stock, once you have a few sets of Soma Primes racked up, you can then focus on getting extra Axios 4 relics and get just extra Soma Prime stocks. People are always looking for the Soma Prime stock and the Boar Prime stock. Always. Always, 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 always. So definitely well worth it. Alright, so with that said, we could talk about the Vasto very briefly because I think I kind of think I covered everything. But just maybe I guess I'll reiterate some. What is going on with this search? Whoa, 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 whoa. I have no idea. But anyway, the Vasto, Vasto, as I already said, is on the Axie A5. Again, Syndicate Relic Packs, Void Missions, Seediest Bounties. Hopefully you guys picked up a bunch of these from Barrow if you had the spare... excuse me, if you had the spare ducats and credits. Again, I believe they were 125 ducats and 55,000 credits. Steep, a little exorbitant in pricing, but if you have the extra credits, if you have the extra ducats just laying around, it can save you some time just buying a bunch from Barrow. Barrow will more than likely have this again. At what time, I can't guarantee you. I don't know. But I would look for this relic to reappear in Barrow's inventory. Would I focus on really getting any of these things? Man, you could, but quite honestly, I foresee that the Vasto and Vasto values are probably going to plummet, similar to the Aklex and Lex sets. It probably wouldn't hurt to have a bunch of Vasto sets laying around, just in case, because the Aklex set can sometimes pick back up in value just slightly. But we're talking value about as much as a Boar Prime stock or Soma Prime stock by itself, right? So yeah, it's up to you if you really want to farm that. You definitely want to pick up the Vasto set, so it may be worth farming these relics. Again, it's up to you about whatever you happen to need. All right, let's talk quickly about some tips and tricks and let's see if I can provide you with some, which the first one we'll talk about is the Syndicate Relic Packs. I highly recommend the Syndicate Relic Packs. They are worth picking up in my opinion. I know some people deem them a quote-unquote waste of Syndicate points, but look, let's look at the facts. This Unbolting is limited time. All of this stuff in this Syndicate you can pick up at any time. You can gain more Syndicate standing at any time. This Relic Unbolting is a limited time. So yeah, I'm dumping every bit of Syndicate standing I get into Relic Packs because the Unbolting is a limited time. All of this stuff I can get anytime I want. So who cares? Again, my mentality. Now the Syndicate Relic Packs from the Syndicates give you 3 relics, 1 guaranteed rare. If you don't want to mess with Syndicates, and I hate to even suggest this, and for the reasons I'll tell you in a minute, but honestly, I mentioned this in the other Unbolting vid, and I'll mention it here now as well. If you don't want to mess with Syndicates, you can buy Relic Packs with Platinum. They are 50 plat for 5 random relics, still just 1 guaranteed rare. I'll reiterate what I said in my last Unbolting vid, which is I think that these are overpriced. My personal opinion, these should be about 35 plat. They should include 5 random relics, and 2 should be guaranteed rare, not just 1. Then I can endorse these, I could support these, and I could say, yeah, these are a good buy, and I would actually buy these myself. As it stands now, I think that's overpriced, and I'm not buying them. But it is an option if that's really the kind of route that you really want to go. By all means, you can do so. Another tip that I'll provide is Void Fissure missions, my friends. Void Fissure missions are going to be underneath your alert tabs, and specifically this little flame icon one is the one that you're looking for. I recommend that you watch these like a hawk, and anytime one of these pops up in the void, I highly recommend you run it until it ends. Run it as long as you possibly can run it, and for a few simple reasons. First of all, you're cracking relic, getting prime parts, right? You're racking up reactant, and you have the potential to get these unvaulted relics to drop as you're running these missions, all right? So any missions that you may have in the void, no matter what the alerts are, whether a nightmare mission, whether they're a syndicate mission, whether a void mission, any missions you have that pop up in the void, they're well worth running because you're completing multiple objectives all at one time. So again, that's my 2 cents on it. So where should you farm these relics? Well, I know a lot of people for the Lith are going to immediately migrate to Hepit, which is a low-level capture mission. I get why people migrate to the Hepit mission. I get it. However, I ran Hepit probably 30 to 40 times nonstop back-to-back. My runs are about a minute-ish each, and I did not see a single Lift M2 from these missions. Not a single one. Not one. Not a single solitary Lift M2 dropped from Hepit. Now, maybe this is my RNG. Maybe I've just had bad RNG. I've said for years I have bad RNG. I said for years RNG in this game absolutely hates me, loathes me, and is out to kill me. And that's possible. But I would think that in 30 to 40 runs, if the Lith M2 is likely to drop, I would have at least seen a couple. And I didn't see a single one. So yeah. Likewise, or should I say at least similar with Tashub, I did not, this is a low-level exterminate. I didn't see any Lith M2s drop. I ran it several times back-to-back with a Speed Ember. Never did see a Lith M2 drop. If you're bound and damn determined to run the Void mission, I personally would recommend Tyrannus, which is a low-level defense mission. You can get the Lith mission, or the Lith M2 to drop, as well as you have the potential for the Miso B3 to drop on Rotation C, which is 20, my friends. 20, not 5, not 10, not 15, but 20 waves is Rotation C. Okay? So yeah, you can potentially get the Misos to drop from here as well. But if you're bound and determined to run it, I would have to recommend Tyrannus, the defense mission, but that's up to you. You can run Hepit. It only takes you a minute to run it, so it really, you have to, factor in the amount of time you invest in a mission versus your gains. Again, up to you how you do that. However, for Miso relics, I can't tell you the Uko, which is still a low-level-ish capture. Again, you can speed run it with the speed frame in about a minute-ish. I was actually getting a decent amount of Miso B3s to drop from this. You can potentially get the Neo N9s, but in my 30-ish plus runs of Uko, I think I ended up netting like 5 Miso B3s, and out of all the Neos, not a single Neo N9. So I don't think that Uko is viable for the Neo N9s. Again, maybe it's just my RNG, but Miso B3s, Uko is definitely a viable option. That brings us to Belanus. Belanus is still a low-level-ish defense mission. Again, Miso B3s, you can get the Neo N9s, and you can even potentially have a small chance to get the Axie S4s, maybe even the Axie S5s. I'll have to check the Codex on that, I don't remember. But again, this is going to be Rotation C, my friends. If you want the potential Neo or Axie drop, it's going to be Rotation C. Not 5, not 10, not 15, but 20 waves, right? So with that said, you obviously have Mott. Hey, after the last unbolting, I don't ever want to see Mott again. Mott is, I'm so burnt out and so salty about Mott that I'm not even going to talk about it. Moving on, if you really want to focus on the Neo and Axies, I personally recommend the Seediest Bounties. As I said in my Seediest runs, I was getting about two N9s per bounty. So I definitely think that the Seediest Bounties are viable. As much as I don't like running them, yeah, I would have to recommend that. But again, it's up to you. Use any combination you want. Buy relic packs, run some void missions, run some Seediest Bounties. Run different combinations, however you guys prefer to run them. This is just my personal experience, what I'm seeing. Again, do what you do. Now, if you're running defense missions, what kind of frame should you take? Quickly, I'll just briefly cover this. And that is, I would take a Speed Nova, and then frames that can wipe the map very quickly. For example, a Volt with the build centered around his 4th, a Mesa, an Equinox, a Saren, a Banshee, so on and so forth. Anything that can wipe the entire map very quickly, very easily. and you can blaze through 20 waves like nothing. That's what I personally recommend. With these defense missions, unfortunately, if you don't have a squad, you're going to have to rely on randoms, and getting a team that wants to run past 5 minutes, 5 waves is a nightmare. That's become the true nightmare mission. That's truly what has become the nightmare mission in Warframe, is finding a team that wants to run more than 5 minutes, 5 waves. Anyway, which is why I made my video. Please stay. If you haven't checked that out, I thought it was kind of humorous, but anyway, I'm moving on. If the good thing about the capture missions is you can solo those. You don't have to rely on any randoms. You don't have to rely on anybody. You can jump in, jump out, get done. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So, you know, that's the good thing about the capture missions. And I've had somebody ask me in my last Unbolting video, what constitutes a quote-unquote speed frame? And quite simply, it's a frame that you throw speed mods on. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, it's literally that simple. It's literally that easy. I wish I could say it was more complicated, but it's not. For example, if you look at my Loki, this is my Fast and Sneaky build, which all I did was just throw in a sprint boost on his aura mod and a rush mod on his Exilus mod. That's all I did. That gives me 30 plus 15 sprint speed, which gives me a 1.63 sprint speed. And you know what? This Loki gets through missions pretty doggone quickly. I mean, there are faster ways to go about it, but yeah, this right here leaves the majority of my build unmolested. So all I have to do is just quickly change back to my aura mod and my Exilus mods to regular, and I have my regular build. Or you can just use configs, which I do recommend for duration, but that's typically your fast and, you know, your kind of speed frames. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but a speed ember is actually really good on these lower level missions. A speed ember will blaze through these missions without you even having to look at enemies. In fact, I named my speed build Go Chicken Go. But anyway, you can, you know, if you guys want to use my Go Chicken Go on your Ember Prime, you know, go ahead. Courtesy of peace to you guys. But let's go ahead and jump into a new Go mission and see what we can get out of it. I don't know if RNG is going to be with us or against us. Probably no, an RNG probably against us. But yeah. So we'll go ahead and leave the Boar Prime on because that's a good shotgun. We'll go ahead and leave the Aqua Prime on because I'm leveling it. So let's jump into a new Go mission and see what we get. Don't know, again, I know some of you guys are like, oh, you're editing this to get... Actually, I'm just doing this on the fly. Just doing it right on the old fly. So whatever I happen to get is going to be the end of this vid. So it'd be nice to see a Miso B3, but I can't guarantee it. We shall see what happens. I'm trying not to get this vid overly long, because a lot of people don't like to watch vids that are, you know, 45 freaking minutes. So, yeah. I personally recommend that you ignore these enemies. Use these death orbs if you've got an OG frame. You get a 250 shot of energy. It is well worth using them if you got an OG frame. So yeah, ignore these other enemies. You don't need these guys. They're not going to do anything for you. It's not as if you're farming credits or something along those lines. You're just simply trying to get through the mission.
Indicate our target is in the vicinity. Find them. Excellent work.
And once you cap that dude, get out. Again, the focus is all about get in, get out, get done. That's all it's about. Nothing more. Any of these enemies are just going to slow you down, so it's not worth even messing with. Alright. Let us see what we get. Survey says... Oh, we were one away. We got the B2. RNG is such a tease. RNG, you are an SOB. Really? A B2. Like, that's one away from a B3. But quite honestly, guys, this is precisely why I say the Seediest Bounties are going to be what I recommend, because you can target one specific relic. Whereas, as you can see, with these void missions, there is such an overpopulated reward pool for relics in the void. There's so many Misos, there's so many Axes, there's so many Neos, there's so many lists. You just, yeah, you're going to get, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you need relics. And if you need relics, then the void's a good way to go. Because you can build up a good amount of relics by running these void missions. Like I said, I had 30 to 40 runs on Hepit back-to-back and didn't see a single solitary lith M2. But I got a bunch of other relics. And at least you're guaranteed at least a relic on these void runs, like these captures, for example, versus Seediest, where on the bounties you could get a bunch of just trash, like tiny little measly amount of Indo that's worthless for you, tiny little measly amount of Kuva, and so on and so forth. But again, you've got options this time around. Thank goodness there are options, and I definitely feel that this Unbolting is way better than the last Unbolting. Even though I'm screwed now because of that last Unbolting, at least there is an improvement. I'm not happy about the last Unbolting. I'm still salty about it, as you can probably tell. I'm a bitter mofo about it, to be honest. But at least this is a better Unbolting this go around. So, anyway, let me know down in the comment section what your favorite farming method is this go around, how your farming is going, and until next time, peace and grace.